he learned. And now, to say it forward, Mr. Efren Pallorina.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Ano ang gusto mong maging paglaki mo? Don't we get asked that question at one time in life or another? We usually get asked that when we are in grade school. Every teacher wants to know what kind of ambition is there in our minds as little boys and girls. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, these days I don't hear that question too much anymore. Maybe the question should be, what do you want to have when you grow up? After all, our generation is a generation of wanting to have this, wanting to have that. Oh, we can talk about generations being Gen X, Gen Y, Millennials, Generation Z, etc. But every generation is defined by the predominant attitude that it develops, the attitudes that are picked up from the previous generation. And I sad to say, every generation has some common things with other generations before it and following it. Mayroong pare-pareho. Although nagkakaiba, we can pinpoint certain things that don't change. And one of them is the wanting to have this and the wanting to have that and to want to have more and more and more. So maybe the question should not be, what do you want to be when you grow up? But what do you want to have when you grow up? I had the opportunity of working with a persecuted church for a while. And this means going into areas where the Christian faith was not a very popular thing. Being a Christian was always something that put you in trouble. Your Christian faith was something that was meant to be kept to yourself. So the persecuted church is there wanting to teach the world what it is to be a real Christian in this generation today. So I got to work with many areas in the free world where the Christian faith was being suppressed. So I got to meet people who were oppressed, suppressed, they were exploited, they were being treated unjustly, and all that they wanted. Every time I asked them, what do you want us to do? How can we help you? What can we give you? What can we deliver to your church, to your world, to your community? We would always think, oh, maybe they're looking for some way to get out of the situation. Would you like us to pray for a visa to the U.S.? Would you like us to pray that you will can be moved out of here and be relocated where there is more freedom? But always the answer would be, no, sir, no, brother, no, pastor. What we would like is more strength to overcome, more strength to persevere, more courage to stay put. And those were the consistent answers to that answer. What do you want to have? Freedom? No, not freedom. That this persecution would stop? No. But that we would persevere. That taught me a lot, because every single time that we visited a home in a persecuted area, whether it's in Asia, Central Asia, Africa, the Middle East, it was the same. They all wanted to just have courage and the perseverance in their Christian faith. And so their homes were simple. They got rid of the things that they didn't need, because after all, they knew that what was most important was to be able to live a faithful Christian life. Wow. Going back to the Philippines, every time I went and visited one of those communities was always a very difficult time, because I would come home to a house full of things that I didn't need anymore. And slowly, over the 10, 11 years working with the persecuted church, those things began to be disposed of, given away, donated, given to someone else that would need those things. And that can be clothing, that could be computers, that can be pieces of furniture, and things that we never used. And of course, you heard the guideline, if you forget that you have this thing and don't use it for over a year, it's time to get rid of that item in your closet, in your cabinet, in your storage, and how much more simple things can be for you. So I learned to simplify. It was the persecuted church that taught me that. Persecuted believers who thought of nothing extra in life, but that they would have the courage to stand strong. We often hear the phrase, reuse, reduce, recycle. I've begun to introduce the concept of refuse. Not 3 R's anymore. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Maybe we can begin with a first step of refusing. Refuse. Offered with plastic spoons and forks, refuse them because you don't need them. You have plenty of good steel forks and spoons at home. Packaging, refuse the packaging because you have enough. So certain things are just not necessary in life. And so to begin to simplify, start with looking at what you have and check the things that you think you can live without. Throw, dispose, give, donate. So many more can use them. And remember what Paul says to the Corinthian churches. For our boast is this, listen, our boast is this, the testimony of our conscience, that we behaved in the world with simplicity and sincerity in God.